Hello everyone from Cambridge, England. This is Gary Luckett and my role with Olympus is the Senior NDT Specialist for the EMEA region. Today I'm going to go through the OmniPC 5 software, which is the latest analysis software compatible with the OmniScan X3. I'm going to go through a quick run through of the user interface and highlighting some of the main features and functions. Okay. So I've got an example scan file here. It's a single V butt weld, fairly simplistic with a number of indications that are highlighted that you can see on the C-scan. So first of all, what you'll notice is the OmniPC software works on a tab-based system here. So these are all the information that's been transferred directly from the OmniScan. Some of the tabs, if we click on, you'll notice that they're grayed out. These are really for auditing purposes to show you what the setup was, what the focus point, etc. If we click on other tabs, for example, the gate tab, the ones that are highlighted, these are what you can change and adjust as you analyze the software data. Okay. One of the key points on the software itself, similar to the X3, there's lots of shortcut keys menus within the panes itself. But just as you get familiar with them, enable you to do a more efficient and quicker inspection. If you're unsure of the shortcut keys, what you do is you highlight the shortcut table, and this details exactly the button presses and the various shortcut keys, particularly if using the keyboard, for making a more efficient inspection. Okay, so we're going to go back to our OmniPC tab. So this is our main tab we start up. Everything you'd expect from the analysis software. So the ability to open, save data, etc. Then you've got your shortcut keys for gain, auto 80 for your angles, and then you've got your preset layouts across down here. Also, if you've got a series of other groups, they're highlighted down here as well. And then this tab relates to the indication table and the report that we'll highlight a bit later on. Okay, so first of all, I wanted to go through some of the S-scan views on here. So I wanted to highlight just the quick refresh rate on the gates itself. So if you're familiar with doing weld inspection and you do analysis via segregating the weld through the B-scan, it can be quite useful just moving and adjusting the gate to highlight specific areas within the weld itself. And as you can see, it's a very quick refresh rate on here, so you can highlight individual indications either with a sound path gate or a depth gate. Okay, so I'm going to highlight across on there. Also, what you'll notice is that the refresh rate, if I highlight and move across, for example, this crack on here, it's very quick on the unit itself. So this is particularly useful if you're characterizing an indication, you want to see the morphology, you want to see how it rolls, how it moves across the A-scan itself. So very quick and easy to run across and to get a true perspective of the indication. On the right hand side, this is where I highlight all the readings. So these relate to the amplitude. So with the X3 OmniScan, you can have up to 800% full screen height of indications. The depth indication, length, etc. It's all parameters you expect, but also parameters related to code compliance against a reference standard, a TCG or a DAC. Okay. So now I wanted to go through the gain. So we've got a massive amount of software gain from -20 up to 80 dB. So again, when this is very useful, if you've got an indication, like a very saturated indication, you can have up to 200, 300, 400, 500. It gives you the ability that you can then bring it down to a more usable level. So if we highlight the gain, we can bring it down, say if we're working off, for example, 80% full screen height, we can bring it down. It makes it more easier to do our dB drop sizing techniques. Same can be said for indications, for example, like porosity. If you've got a low level porosity and you want to highlight it to enable you to do a more efficient length sizing or height sizing, then you've got a huge amount of gain. Or even if you want to get a better detection, rather than running multiple groups with different scanning gain, this enables you to do it more efficient in the analysis software. Okay, so what I then want to highlight on here, just to go through a series of indications. So if I'm going to take the gain back down again, I'm going to start with my first indication. So then if I wanted to zoom in on that indication, I'm going to double click to go on the indication. I'm then going to control to zoom in. I can then do the same on here, control, and I zoom in, and then I can use this to then exactly give a measurement of that indication. I can do the same on this view here to highlight and to zone in the indication I'm using. Like I say, for yourselves, you take a lot more time of isolating this indication. Once I've highlighted the indication, given it a size, length, etc., I can then add this indication, and I've added it to my indication table. Okay. I can then zoom back out again. I can then scroll through the data, and I can go for my second indication. I can do the same process again. So I'm going to highlight and zoom in on this indication. I'm going to give a very rough measurement of exactly the height of the indication. Obviously, for yourself, you'd spend a lot more time doing this. So I'm going to box it in, and all the measurements here give me the size of the indication that I'm working to. I can then add that indication in there, and then I can scroll across to my next indication. I can adjust the zoom slightly, zoom across, and again I can highlight, zoom in, and I can do the same again on here. Find my max peak to work across to give me a height sizing, and then I can add that indication again. Okay, so what I can do now, if I go to my indication table, so this brings up all the parameters related to the indication table. So I've got a total of 3 indications. I can then go through these individually, and they've got all the parameters related to sizing, height, depth, etc. I can give them an individual reference, but also I can go through and give it a type. So if I go to my, for example, as I go through my indications, I'm going to go for this indication here. I'm going to give this an indication. Okay, this is a crack. So we're going to have this as, for example, like a toe crack. Part of my criteria would be rejectable, and then that's stored on there. I can go to my next indication. Let's say, for example, this is a lack of fusion. I could put any parameters, any comments I wanted to add, and again, this is rejectable. And then I could go to my last one, and I could say, okay, this is a porosity-like indication, and it might be because of the size and the code I'm working to. Actually, this is acceptable. So porosity, acceptable, and now I've gone through all these indications. What I can then do is export the table CSV. So what this does, it exports all the images, so an image of each one of the indication, exports the rest of the information as a CSV or as an Excel file. And what that means is you can just take those files and transpose them and copy them directly into your company's report. So it makes it a lot more efficient. Rather than cutting and pasting images, you've got all the information there. You can copy and transfer directly into your report. Okay, well, thank you very much for your attention. I hope that was useful. If you'd like any more information, please visit Olympus IMS. Thank you.